So hi, today we have Tommy with us. So he's gonna help us do our contextual inquiry interview for the HCI class, and then so we're basically gonna assume that he has already read the statement of informed consent, and then give us his consent for us using his material for the submission of this. So let's just get a confirmation from you. Simply a yes would suffice.
Yes.
Okay, so there we have it. So we have the confirmation from him. Any questions before we begin?
No.
All right. So we're basically gonna start with the warm questions. So how often do you eat outside?
I eat out quite often, so generally speaking, like 10 times a week.
Oh, okay. That's quite a lot,
Yeah.
which is good for us. So, do you often use applications while searching for places to eat, or do you like go there as a group and then try to ad hoc it?
But actually, I seldom use the application to look for places to eat, unless it's the time for me and my friends going to a new place while trying the food there. So we will
Oh,
use
okay.
the application.
Oh, all right. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Any favorite applications or website to do that?
Google Map.
Okay, yep, that makes sense. Any particular reason for liking Google Map over other applications?
Well, because we usually go there by car. So, like previously, we were driving, so the Google Map makes more sense. And usually, it would just prompt that, okay, we can tell you what restaurants are nearby, like your destination. So, this is pretty convenient. And secondly, because of that, we don't need to install another application just to find the restaurant.
Oh, okay, yep, that makes sense. All right, so anything in particular that you feel like could be improved in Google Maps as well?
I think it can probably based on the restaurants we've visited before, so probably it's gonna like give more relevant recommendations on specific types of restaurants nearby. So I think this could be a good improvement.
Oh, okay. Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, let's focus on what we are gonna research on today. So, have you ever used Yelp before?
Yes.
Okay. How often have you used it?
Not very often.
Oh, okay. But you do know like the ins and outs of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what's your preferred platform to use on Yelp?
I prefer mobile phones.
Oh, okay, excellent. So, when's the last time you probably used Yelp to find a restaurant?
A couple of months ago, when I tried to find some restaurants near Boston.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So for our case today, we'll probably test it on the web platform because that's what our target research study is for the contextual inquiry. Alright, so let's focus on the web-based application first. So let's go ahead and open the app, open the website.
Okay.
Alright. So we have opened the website. So let's say on a regular day when you are opening Yelp or doing food related stuff, what are basically the couple of things that you generally do?
So am I looking for lunch or dinner or?
Okay, let's go for lunch.
Okay, lunch. So assume that I'm looking for lunch.
Yeah.
So now I'm at Yelp's website. So just okay, let's see the restaurants. Let's see just Worcester. Yeah, it's gonna search. Okay. Yeah, first we don't want to have a lot of expensive restaurants, and secondly, yeah, let's try this one.
Are there any specific relevant information that you are searching for while doing these things?
First, basically, if I'm looking for lunch, so usually this would just be a grub, so it's not going to be very expensive. So first, I'm just gonna filter out these expensive restaurants.
Okay.
And secondly, I'm gonna just look at the restaurant, like what kind of restaurant it is. So usually, like picking an American restaurant would be just normal, pretty acceptable. Yeah, and then probably just click in and see the photos and see what menus they have, and probably lastly check out the comments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right then. So, would you generally use this as an individual or as a part of a group?
Usually it's for a group activity, because usually we use applications like Yelp is because we fail to reach a conclusion that nobody knows where to go. So let's just find out what are the restaurants nearby.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So let's do our first task. So our first task is to basically find a restaurant for you to grab lunch for yourself only. So let's go ahead and do that. First, let's go to the home page. So that. Alright, so now that you have landed in the home page, what are the first steps when you are gonna search for things? What do you look for in a website once you have come to the landing page?
Because I'm looking for lunch, so probably just go for searching for restaurants in the search bar. Okay, so we're in the search page. Yeah. Secondly, probably, let's say, for example, go for Japanese food.
So generally, while searching for a place to eat, do you prefer to type in your search parameters, or do you prefer to click them, and then you prefer to have buttons so that you can click them and navigate without typing anything?
Well, it depends. If I have a specific keyword to look for example, my friends is recommending a restaurant named A, then probably just go for keyword A. If I'm not very sure what restaurant to eat, probably just click on some filters. So yeah, because clicking on filters is easier.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. So do you have any specific preferences when you are looking for the restaurants while you are browsing through the list that we have over here?
Firstly, I would just look for the price tag. So if it's very expensive, so just pass it. And if it's pretty acceptable, then just look for the reviews.
Oh, okay. Do you feel like I know the information that have been provided over here for the particular restaurant is the templates? Do you feel like those are adequate enough to give you all the relevant information, or do you feel like?
You mean the search page?
Yep.
Okay.
No, so over here we have a restaurant, right? And then it gives you the name of the restaurant, the ratings, and the price, the type of restaurant. Do you feel like that gives you enough information to make your decision, or do you feel like there are certain things lacking?
It provides the basic information, but firstly that it shows us the address of the restaurant, but this is not enough because actually there's a little map here, so okay, choose it. This is a little bit better. Yeah, so the map will show the restaurant, this search result, and show the location of where it is. So this is pretty good, but actually it's still lacking the detailed reviews, because the reviews are gonna be people who has visited the restaurant and will leave some pictures usually.
Yeah.
So probably just click into this search result and see.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So generally, you feel that relevant pictures influence your decision a lot, right? So what are other factors that you feel would influence your decision a lot when you are deciding to pick a restaurant to go to?
Besides the money issue, so when I click into the detail page of the reviews, probably I would just check whether the existing manuals are good, whether I like it. So because we can see there are dishes.
Uh-huh.
Dishes, they have the sample pictures they have, so I say, oh, I like this dish, so probably this might be a good choice. And people in the review says, oh, this dish is pretty good, so probably I'm gonna try it.
Okay. All right. So let's assume that you have gone through your the list of restaurants, and then you have picked, you have decided to come up with a short list for it. So what would be the primary factors when on deciding on, okay, this is the one that I want to go to, when you have like created your short list? Like, let's say you come up with 3 restaurants. In our case, let's say that you decided to go through the listing of it, and then you come up with 3 restaurants from the entire list, and you're like, oh, okay, these 3 places, okay. So, okay, like you are pointing out right now, you like the 3rd restaurant, the 4th restaurant, and the 5th restaurants. So now you got to pick one. You and your friends got to pick one. So what would be the primary factors that would influence you? Like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to go. I mean, of course, it has already been established that the pictures are the primary motivating factors for you. So are there like anything others?
Probably the number of reviews. Like if a restaurant that has a quite few reviews, probably it's because either this is a new restaurant or just because people don't come there very often. So if it has pretty high scores, so it doesn't mean as much as a restaurant has the same score but with much more reviews.
Oh, okay, yep. Yes, that makes sense. Excellent. Right, so with that, we have kind of ended our task 1. So I would just like to ask you a couple of follow-up questions based on that. So in terms of time management, how would you rate this application? Like, 1 being that it kind of slowed you down and made your decision-making experience slower than it would have been otherwise, and 5 being that it actually accelerated your decision-making experience by making things easily available.
I think it complicates things because if we're using applications like Google Maps, so when I just look for restaurants nearby, so which makes more sense because, for example, that I'm looking for lunch, so I'm just gonna find the nearest restaurant near me. But for websites like Yelp, so basically it just looks for restaurants like in a given area, which is not my location. Probably it can be adjusted, but like from my search, it just search for restaurants in the entire Worcester area. So this would take the search a little time consuming because I have to see, okay, what, like how far the restaurant is, because probably it's gonna show me the restaurant that is on the farthest corner of Worcester and say, oh, this is a good restaurant, just go there, but it's too far.
Oh, okay, yeah, that totally makes sense. All right, so next question. So how would you rate the comfort level with Yelp? So 1 being that the application was rather confusing and then it kind of like misled you on a couple of occasions, and 5 being that it was very intuitive and you basically knew what to do once you landed on the page.
Basically, I haven't used Yelp very often. But actually, I think I've gained the experience from using similar websites. So probably it doesn't take me a lot of time to get used to it and have my restaurants listed for me. Basically, I think the website is pretty straightforward and it gets things done. Although I think using Yelp on the web browser is actually not the common use case for Yelp.
Alright, excellent. Alright, so you kind of have already answered our next question, which was basically that if you have used other applications and what are the features you like in them. So let's move on to the next one. So are there certain features in the Yelp application that you feel like had they been present there, then they would have made a stronger case for Yelp being an excellent application for you to browse food for?
Actually, I think if I am a frequent user of Yelp, so probably Yelp can give me more relevant recommendations based on my previous search records. But if I'm a new user of Yelp, probably it just going to give me like random recommendations, but well, it's understandable.
Yeah. Excellent. All right, that makes sense. All right, so that basically kind of wraps up our interview. So in the end, let me just thank you for giving the interview, and then ask
My
you
pleasure.
a couple of questions before we wrap things up completely. So were there any issues that you faced while using the application?
Actually, no specific issues. It's
So
pretty
it
good.
was intuitive enough that you could establish an
Yeah.
understanding of things. So what did you think of the interview? Anything you did not understand? Anything that made you anxious?
It's pretty good, pretty straightforward.
All right, excellent. So were there anything during the interview process, and now that you have completed it, do you feel like there were particular questions that could have been asked so that more relevant information could have been extracted from the CI instead of like simply asking the questions in the script?
Mm, maybe could use some questions um, like do some timing for certain actions, like
Oh, okay.
yeah, to say whether this action like searching or filtering, whether this is time consuming, whether this is convenient, like comparing to other products,
Oh,
maybe.
okay. Yeah, that is an excellent idea. Thanks for that. So, would you be willing to get contacted with follow-up questions for the CI?
Cool. Yeah.
Right. So, would you be willing to be contacted for providing any feedbacks on the prototypes we design?
Okay. Sure.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Tommy, for giving the interview. And with that question, our interview ends.